If you ever found yourself in this situation, you're right next to a green, you've got an easy chip and you end up blading it or chunking it. Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you the correct way to chip that's going to take care of 70 to 80% of your chips, okay? Stick with me in this video. I'm going to make it simple. We're going to cut out all the clutter, get down to it. And if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel for weekly content. We'll learn together. Hi folks, Kevin Stull here. I'm the Director of Instruction at the Club at Old Hawthorne. I'm a Callaway Master Club Fitter and PGA member since 2006. Welcome to my channel. First things first, we are going to talk about what kind of a lie do we have and how much green do we have to work with. Those are the two questions right there that are going to solve a lot of your problems. So in this situation, I've got a pretty good lie. I've got plenty of green to work with, so I have options in both ways. I think most people will take automatically their standard chipping club, which would be probably a 60 degree or a 56 degree, right? But the problem is with those are high lofted clubs. Why would I need a lot of loft on this shot when I have plenty of green to work with? I want to keep that ball lower. It's easier to control. It's as simple as that. A bigger swing causes bigger problems. So I've got plenty of green to work with here. I've chosen my 54 degree. Now I could definitely go lower, okay, than that, like a pitching wedge or something. I feel comfortable with this though because it has a little bit of loft and I've got a little bit of grass to carry. That's why I chose that. Now, when we're talking about in terms of your typical misses from people, well, if somebody tends to chunk it a lot around their green, you'll see a lot of people do what's called dragging handle. So basically, when they chip, this handle gets drug way ahead of their club head like this, sticks that club in the ground, and that ball goes about 3 inches. Okay, so the opposite of that, though, is people that tend to thin the ball, and I see that more often than not. And that's kind of the opposite. So that would mean that the club gets ahead of your grip, and your grip ends up pointing this way. The club starts to rise, and we can't get that clean contact. So that brings up a good point. In the beginning, when you're practicing these shots, notice where you're making contact with the ground with that club. Okay? Is it consistent? All right, is this consistent? Then you put that ball right behind where you're brushing the grass. Therefore, you're going ball, then ground. Just notice it that way. Don't overthink it. All right, so everybody has a kind of a zone, in my opinion, when they're chipping. It's either they have a low shot, which is a certain part back here in the back of your stance, or a high shot, okay? So when you're doing these practice swings and you're trying to do a low shot, that's going to be in the back half of your stance. So choose a spot in the back half of your stance that you're noticing you're having great contact every single time. Same spots. All right, don't overthink it too much of, should it be just a little bit farther forward or a little farther back? Notice it's telling you right here. So if we're doing that, and we're going to do a low shot like we are right here, you're going to have your feet closer together, okay? So one of the biggest things I probably see out of my teaching center here, when we look out from and see all my members and guests on the range, a lot of them have wide stances. I mean, it's an everyday thing that I see, wide stances. That is going to change your low point from shot to shot. You're not going to be able to be consistent with it. So get those feet closer together, just like this. Okay, that allows you to have a little bit of 55%, let's say, of weight on your left-hand side. So the one thing I do want you to notice is that when you're chipping, you're feeling your arms going straight back and straight through, your arms and chest. We're going to do these shots on more of a pendulum type of motion. It's small, as I mentioned earlier. It's not a long shot. So when we're doing pendulum type of motions, we're not farther away from it. That wraps it around our body. We're standing a little closer and probably choking up on it just a little bit. Now, as you're doing these moves, I want you to have the same tempo back and through. What I mean by that is, I don't want a slower takeaway and a fast follow through. That's too hard to control. Okay, so we got our weight a little bit on the left-hand side. We've got the same consistent tempo. And we try and hit our landing spot. So we feel good about our tempo, but how big of a swing should we do? How do we measure that? How can we practice that? It really doesn't matter how good of a tempo we have if we're doing big swings like this and trying to time that out around the green. So we're going to have some kind of a measurement that we can go by. And what I try to tell my students is, use your body, use your belt. And so, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of People that blade the ball, most commonly, they will throw the club at the ball. The butt end will then go this way. Controversially, said the chunkers will have that lead handle way ahead. So how do we judge how far to do that? Well, when you're doing your shots, and we've got our weight on the left-hand side, I want you to kind of feel like that your butt end of your club is going down your belt line, just like this. If I wasn't doing it correctly and I had a lot of forward press, that butt end's pointing way over here outside of my body. Same thing if I go the other way, it's pointed to the right of my body. So I always kind of use that as a guide, just going down my belt buckle. Now, the thing is, we were taught early on when we're chipping, most likely, to keep your hands in front of the ball, right in front of the club like this. Okay, and that's where you can get in trouble in terms of sticking the club into the ground. There has to be a certain point that your club releases a little bit, releases just a little bit. That's really important because it exposes the bounce of your club right here, helps you glide over that turf and get a little bit of spin. All right, so I don't care what anybody says, a little bit of spin is great for everybody. It's much easier to control. Knuckleballs are not easy to control. We were taught that early as amateurs and beginners, great. But as we go along, we start fine tuning. We start getting a little more control. We add just a little bit of spin. And so we're sitting there, we're set up to it. We've got our weight on our left-hand side like this. We've got our tempo down. That seems pretty good for our landing spot. But I also want to keep that butt end gliding down my belt. Now, the release point of the club right here should be basically at your left thigh. And so when you're chipping and that club releases right here at the bottom, everything's in line with your left thigh. Okay, right down the line, just like that. We're not flipping, we're not dragging. Over and over, we're feeling that club release just slightly at impact to expose the bounce of the club. Let's give it a try. Ooh. Like that. Okay, now let's say that I wanted to do a lower shot. Okay, we had a little more green to work with. That's when I would use something like a pitching wedge. Now, does my technique change? Absolutely not. My technique does not change. I'm still on more of a pendulum because we're going a little more straight, up and down towards our target, but I just don't want that big of a swing and I want it to roll out more. I can still do the exact same thing, except smaller. I'm just changing my club. And that one rolled out more, stuck right next to the hole. Okay, so play around with those type of shots when you have options around the green. Every time you have an option, good lie, or plenty of green to work with, think to yourself, hey, what am I 70% sure that I can pull off? It's going to answer a lot of your questions. If you're 70% sure that you can hit that club the most effective from that situation, then do it. Hey gang, thanks for tuning in. And remember, keep it simple. These short shots right here, it's more of a pendulum. We got a small stance, pendulum type of swing. We're keeping that butt end going down our belt line. All right, keep it simple, keep it effective, and join Team KSG. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel for weekly content, and we'll see you next week for more information.